Hello. Hello, everyone. For those who don't know, I do not have a when I go live schedule. I go live whenever I feel that I'm supposed to be live. But hello, everyone. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Hey, y'all. Yeah, so today I want to talk about gifts. But before I get into that, I'll lay off some announcements first. So a lot of you don't know this, but I am an author. I have a bunch of books already out. So I have Fullness, Guide to Sonship and Mysticism. This is a textbook for sonship and mysticism. So those of you starting your spiritual journey, this is something that you kind of need in your life. Now, of course, it comes in ebook and paperback. Um, then for those of you who are into Kemeticism, the ancient Egyptian studies, I do have a book called Kemetic Prayers available on Amazon. And then my newest books, right? My newest babies. I have, so there's a conversation that people have about the Ethiopian text, the lost books of the Bible, the different translations of the Bible. So I went ahead and did something I wanted to do since I was a kid back in Sunday school when I found out that there were more books in the Bible, and that was put all of them in one volume. So let's just say my Bible is a bit bigger. And I call it the Super Bible. Now, some people find this version, the typing in it, because of the page limit requirements, some people find it too small to read. It's a minority of people who can't, but enough to catch my attention. So there's also a Old and New Testament version of the same text, right? It's just easier to read physically, but there is an ebook version of the Super Bible itself that uh, you can also find much easier to read. It's all about just making them available. This is off topic, but I'll talk about that a bit. I remember one day I was in a conversation, I was in a fellowship, and we were talking about some of the things that some of the extra biblical texts talk about. And one of the ladies in the meeting said, "Well, I don't know if I believe that." And my answer to her was, "If it was in the Bible, you would already believe it." And she said, "You know what? I guess you're right." Now, thinking about the way that we were taught to study scripture, they said, you're supposed to let Holy Spirit illuminate the text and reveal things to you. That's fine. Let's just keep doing that, but with more text. So that's kind of what I've done, is just make them available. It's fascinating getting to hear some of the connections and revelations people have been able to extract out of it so far. Just seeing what happens. There's an apostle from Oklahoma. He messages me all the time saying, "Hey, I was reading this book for the first time and this popped up at me." Those are just some resources. Now, I mentioned this before. That my let's see. So what I mentioned before is that I have a lot of courses, I teach, I train. We are doing a lot more courses. I'm actually working on something now that a lot of you have been asking me to do for years. I'm telling you, my new people, y'all are kind of spoiled. Y'all are getting all this stuff people have been waiting years for. And that is self-paced module courses where people can go through at their own pace, learn, develop, grow, all of that stuff. Now, that's so today, actually, we're in the month of ER, which is the month of the prophets in the Hebrew calendar. I actually launched the School of the Prophets program on my website today, and that is caveofmystery.org. You'll find that on the homepage. It'll take you right to it. And yeah, I'm already getting some feedback from some of the people who've taken it. It's only been available, at least in the States, for a few hours. For me, it was my morning. uh, And for those who don't know, I live in Kenya. I don't live in America anymore. So there's the 13-week mentorship course. Last day to enroll for that is on Saturday. First day begins on Sunday. You'll receive a email. All of you who sign up, you'll receive an email on Sunday with all of your information in it. There's a lot, and we're going to have some fun. Every year, people feel like I'm getting robbed because I don't charge as much as what they feel that it is valued at. Every year I get people who are trying to offer me more money. So it is what it is. If you feel led to take my courses, take them. If not, hey, I'm not going to be mad at you. All is well. But I just wanted to let y'all know that those resources do exist and more is on the way. There's going to be a lot more courses, a lot more classes. The Healers course, I just mentioned School of the Prophets. I want to do School of the Apostles because no one gives us training. I want to do School of the Evangelists. I got a bunch of different classes I'm working on. A lot of y'all asked me about moving in spiritual gifts and abilities, which kind of speaks to what I really want to talk about today. But I'm working on a class for that. It's a lot of building curriculums and stuff. So yeah. We're gonna move on. So now that my announcements are over, those of you watching the replay, y'all can y'all can skip to this point. I want to talk to you about your gifts. Now we look at the situations that we're in. We look at what we call generational curses. We look at, okay, let me slow down and give y'all a picture to go with. There's this movie with Cher and Christina Aguilera called Burlesque. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Why not? It's a musical movie, and there's this scene about her. There's this scene with Christina's character. She's the main character, and they're trying to figure out why she's here, why she doesn't have any family, why she has no connections, why she left home. And she tells them very directly. She said, I looked at my environment, I looked at my city, I looked at my family, and there was nobody's life that I wanted, so I moved. And I think that's a good picture to start with. Can anyone be honest and say you're not satisfied with the way that your family is set up? Your family could be better off. Your family could be more stable, more organized, more blessed, can any of you be honest and say you're not 100% satisfied yet? That whether it's your immediate family, just your household, or extended family, everyone with the last name, it could get better. What if I told you that the key to changing that is stuff that you already have? Right now, we're in a dispensation. So much is being unlocked. People are stepping into new things. People are very zealous, and that's not a bad thing. I want more hunger. I want more zeal, right? I don't want to slow that down. But because of that zeal, we have people who are so ready for the next thing that they don't actually take time to steward what they already have. Let me dissect that a bit. I want y'all to understand me. So if I were to start talking about spiritual gifts and abilities, and I start to tell you testimonies of things that I've experienced, most of you would immediately say, ooh, I want to do that one day. I want to do that. Show me how to do that right now. I want to do that right now, right? And there's nothing wrong with the desire to want to see it. That's what it's for. That's the reason why I tell stories, why I share these events from my life, is so that y'all can be inspired from them. That's part of it. However, those alone aren't necessarily going to bring fulfillment. Is there anyone, and this is a bit more rare, but still common, is there anyone who technically has a stable life, but you still hate your life, for lack of a better word? That family's okay, finances are okay, but unfulfilled? Anyone in that category? and you almost don't want to talk about it because it makes you sound ungrateful. That there's people who would die, they would lie, they would steal, they would kill to have the life that you have, and you're not satisfied with it. Let's be honest, right? There's a reason for that. So that's because having certain things checked off it doesn't necessarily equal fulfillment. You can have nice cars, you could have nice houses and still be empty on the inside. There are some people who don't have all their needs met. They have to wrestle every day. They're in survival mode, but their life seems happier in some cases than what we would call rich or wealthy people. And a lot of that comes down to fulfillment. Fulfillment is what we should be registering success by rather than the material things. I promise I'm talking about gifts. I'm just taking my time. So what I'm talking about here is you recognize that life isn't what you want it to be. The reason for that is because you're unfulfilled. Why is life unfulfilling? It's because you're not doing what you're called to do. You're not being yourself. You're not using your gifts. That's why I'm talking about gifts today. I'm not going through teaching y'all how to do a bunch of stuff. That's not the point of this. I want to inspire you to do the things that you already can do. And I want you to think back, because right now, a lot of you are talking yourselves out of believing that you have any gifts, that you have any skills, that you have any abilities or talents. Oh, no, I'm just normal. Oh, no, I'm not special. I can't do what you can do. This is one of those instances where comparison is a thief of joy. It makes you miss what you actually have. Think about your childhood. Think about the things that you did as a kid. A lot of those point to where your gifts are. Some of you were very artsy as kids, but you don't get to paint. You don't get to draw anymore as an adult. What if I told you that the adult you needs to play with paint more than the kid version did? As a kid, you went in the closet and you just throw on some clothes that didn't match. That was speaking to the designer in you, the fashion designer on the inside of you. That, let's just say the adult version of you needs that more than the kid version did. I strongly believe that what you tried to do as a kid is what you're meant to do in sonship, in some capacity. In my own way, I'm doing everything I wanted to do as a kid. It just looks a little different than I thought. But that's the point of reference. That's the point of beginnings, is to think, what am I already good at? What can I already do? What gifts, what abilities, what talents do I already have? And can I maximize those? How can I use those? And I'll tell you this, many people dealt with discouragement early on, and I'll give you a secret. That's actually proof that it works. The fact that you can encounter opposition is proof that success is possible. Why would I oppose you in an area where you'll have no success? I would encourage you to go and fail. But instead, when you were in a more vulnerable state of mind, someone told you couldn't do this or that wasn't sustainable. And it's those very things that could actually have led your family out of the generational curse we call poverty. Or it's not always poverty. Some families have money and are still dysfunctional. Anyone come from one of those? Well off and still insane. Let's just say, I like to talk about this when it comes to children. Children are sent as the solution to whatever it is the parents were dealing with. If you look at what your parents were dealing with when you were born, and maybe even up till they might still be this way. They might not have grown out of it, but at the very least, around the time you were born, or at least conceived, right? They struggled with certain things. You as a kid came there with no knowledge of how the world worked, but you came encoded with solutions based on their struggles. It's kind of how that works. right? Again, what you tried to do as a kid was the solution to the problems. It's just that we live in such an egocentric world that no one listens to the kids. No one listens to the kids, right? Oh no, that's just a kid. They don't know anything yet. That's actually the good thing. They haven't been taught unbelief yet. They haven't been taught doubt. They haven't been taught all the other things that makes people give up on their dreams. So they see possibilities. Children see possibilities that adults don't, simply because their eyes haven't been gouged out yet. They still see wonder. They still have faith. They still see possibilities. Children are innovators. In today's world, we go to have a staff meeting. You might bring in some of the older people who've been in the business, in the field the longest, because you believe that their experience in the field means that they have innovation. And maybe not. You need younger people, kids, teenagers, young adults, because they're seeing the world different from the way that the elders are seeing the world. And it's not a matter of right or wrong, but that difference makes a difference. I promise I'm still talking about gifts. So when we're talking about these generational curses, right? Children come with the solutions. And what I mean by that is, let's say mom struggles with boundaries. She struggles to tell people no. The kid is raised up under that mom, will either become like the mom or become the complete opposite of that. Guess what? The mom was generous to a fault. The daughter is stingy and tells people no for her mom. There's a story. They had two brothers who were raised by an alcoholic father. One grew up to be an alcoholic. The other grew up to never touch alcohol. And when asked, they both said, I learned from watching my dad. There's one that kept their coding, the solution, and there was one that compromised. What I'm trying to get you to see is that when you got here, right? It's easy to try to, and my Christian audience is going to hate this part. It's easy to idolize your born again life as if that's the moment when you got everything. In truth, you had stuff long before that. You were drawing, you were painting, you were building stuff. You were trying to build machines as a kid, and you didn't know how electricity worked yet. There's a lot that you can find out about what a kid is encoded with by the toys that they like to play with as kids. Maybe they actually do want to do hair, so they're always braiding their animals. They're braiding the hair on the horses, braiding the hair on the Barbie dolls. There's a lot of options today. But it's as simple as looking at what you already have, because if you don't use it, you end up devaluing it, and that actually restricts the flow of you receiving more and walking in more. So, if I say pretend you're God, y'all all of a sudden lose your mind. So pretend you're a regular person and you give someone $1. And they say, what I'm supposed to do with that? And they throw it on the ground. Are you inclined to give them more? No, not at all. Because they couldn't steward, because they couldn't honor, because they weren't grateful for the little thing that they got, you don't give them any more. But if you give someone a little bit and you watch them make something out of it, you watch them at least be grateful for it, you're more inclined to give them more in the future. This is how it works with gifts. So I want you to know that the restrictions in your family, in your bloodline, in your situation are because all of you are sitting on gifts that you're not using. And that changes the perspective. That is jacked up as our situations might be, it's important to keep the responsibility of it on ourselves. There are gifts, there are abilities, there are talents that you have that could have been lifted your family out of poverty for years. And it took me thinking about this a few days ago to realize how many people I passed up in my childhood who had the skill set to be more famous than current celebrities. I went to high school with people that sing better than everyone who's charting right now. There were children in the choir at my church who could outsing your favorite R&B singer, and none of them sing today. No, they work at Starbucks. No, they work at McDonald's. They work at the gym. This is something that we experience, especially in the Black community, where, at least in America, they prioritize basketball and football and devalue every other form of athleticism. They say this is going to get us out the hood, which means there's a bunch of different types of athletes that can be cultivated if you took the cap off at just basketball and football. I was watching the Olympics unimpressed recently because I was watching people break records and stuff I was watching kids in my neighborhood do when I was growing up. I knew a kid who could jump over a fence, no problem, barely had to move his legs. I knew a kid who used to be able to jump over cars and stuff without even getting too much of a running start. I knew acrobats. He was doing somersaults and stuff, no trampoline or anything. I grew up around great athletes. None of them are athletic today. They're mechanics. They're engineers. The things they were actually gifted at aren't the things they end up doing. I'm telling you, this is actually the number one cause for depression. It's the unfulfillment of life. It's not being aware of what you're called to do, but knowing that you're called to do something, or the worst one, which is knowing what you could be doing and not believing that you can do it, or simply having given up on it a long time ago. That causes depression. That's why it's so widespread, especially in America. The economy is so screwed up that most people are in survival mode. Most people are not thriving, they're surviving. This was something that I started to notice as a kid, which is why I did not want to go to college, is because none of the adults that I saw had a job that matched their degree. Not a single adult I knew had a job that matched their degree. I saw that and I did not want to go to college because I said it's not working for them. They have student loan debt and their job is something else. They have a degree in chemical engineering, but they're a manager at they're an assistant principal. It's not matching is the point. And that again makes me loop back to you being a kid. What did you try to do when you were a kid? Whether someone intentionally discouraged you or not, you're likely not doing that. Is anyone here that's here live? Can any of you say in some way, shape, or form that you're doing what you tried to do as a kid? Any of y'all? And on the flip side, are there any of you who can say, you know what? I know exactly what I wanted to do as a kid, and what I do right now isn't anything close. I'm sure that's the majority. Where y'all at? Right. So that's what I'm telling you, how to help your family, because there's this thing that happens. I learned this from video games when I was a kid. There was this game that I like to play called so the game that the game that I like to play, it was on the Wii. That's how long ago it was. It was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And there was this one level, I want to say it's the Mandarin level. I got lost and could not find how to progress the story. And I figured out that if I started looking for enemies, I'd find where I was supposed to be going. That's a key for life. You will only really find opposition when you're going in the right direction. So you have to change your relationship with opposition. If there's an attempt to discourage you, that means it's possible. So sometimes, even when it comes to just the realization of those things, it's just slow contemplation, just thinking for a moment, re-examining what was I trying to do? What are some of the things that I was doing? Because you might not think it's valuable, is part of the problem. It's not so much that many of you are struggling to know that you're gifted or what your gifts are. It's more so that you don't think they're important. You got convinced. So you're thinking about it and you're overlooking it. It's the thing that's being overlooked that's more likely to break you free of whatever levels of dissatisfaction you have in your life. I see a few astronauts in the chat. I have as far as I know, I don't have any NASA people in my ministry. Now, ooh, I like that. Someone says, I can't see how I would have even gotten there. I like that. That's important because that's where most people give up. We think we have to figure that out. I'm telling you, you don't. I'll quote scripture for one time just to appease my Christian audience, okay? There's a verse in Proverbs that says that your gift will make room for you, which means you don't actually make room for the gift makes room for you. All you have to do is let your gift go. Use your gifts. Whatever they are, just start using them. Most of us, right? I'll say us so y'all don't feel like I'm attacking you. Most of us are too busy chasing the next gift that we've never cultivated the ones we already have. The ones that you already have are the ones that God gave you so that you can actually break free. Those are the ones that have liberation on them. Those are what I'll call your deliverance gifts. You're like, I don't know. I'm good at organization. Yeah. Start helping people with their organization. Be more organized and watch how things start to open up. You know what? I think I'm good with networking and helping people become friends. Yeah, you were in daycare making people be friends and instigate, that's something you can be doing as an adult. It might change the way it looks, but the process is the same. It's still pulling on the same muscles. I know so many singers, so many actors that don't act and don't sing. I'm telling y'all, I grew up around a bunch of talented people who all chose to be normal instead of exceptional. They had to lower themselves to fit into society. So you start to think about those things. It's those gifts as you use them. See, when I say gifts, you're thinking of healing the sick, raising the dead, casting out devils. You're thinking of tongues, prophet. That's the stuff you're thinking about. And I'm talking about, it could be that, but there's other things as well. Some of you are good at setting boundaries. Some of you are good at making connections. Some of you are good at administration. Some of you are good at keeping count. Some of you have an eye for detail. Some of you are good with matching colors. Some of you are good with design. Oh, there's a plethora of gifts and talents that you can have. If you start to use them, you get to benefit from them. Those are the things, those seemingly unimportant things are the very things that can liberate you and your family. What you're waiting for is a big break. You have American Idol syndrome. You think someone's got... there's gonna be a contest one day, you're gonna pop up and people are just gonna see how great you are. That's the shot you're looking for. That's most likely not gonna happen. Not in that way. No. What's gonna happen is when you start to actually prioritize your gifts. See, I'm gonna talk about you as if you're gonna take my advice. So as you actually start to prioritize your gifts and those gifts start to make room for you, I'll be honest and tell you the first thing that's going to happen is opposition. Don't take that as a reason to stop. That's proof that you should go. I said it a bunch of times for a reason. Repetition and redundancy means it's more likely to stick in your head. So this is the painful part of actually moving forward. This is the pain of progress, is that you don't actually get to pick who supports you and who opposes you. See, it's easy for us to say, oh, I don't care what people think until it's the right person. You don't care what strangers think, but your brother, your sister, your pastor, people close to you, those are the ones that start to turn on you. Those are the people that don't support you. Oh, yeah, that hurts. Doesn't feel good. But that's proof. And I'll give you a secret. I probably shouldn't tell y'all this because it messes with you while you're in it. But most of those people need your help. And they don't even know why they're resisting you. It's the crab in the bucket syndrome. It's the fear of the unknown. You're going to a place where they've never been, and unknown is scarier than anything. So many people said that. I hear people say that in many instances. They say, do you want this or do you want this? They say they're both bad, but at least I know what I'm getting with that one. They don't like the mystery. They don't like the unknown factor. So truthfully, you just got to start using your gifts again. It might take you a moment to remember, but just the fact that you're starting to think about them, you're starting to uncover, you're at least trying, you're thinking about it is enough for you to start remembering it. Other people, this is another thing, other people might recognize your gifts better than you. Think about what other people always ask you for help with. That's a hint. So yes, opposition comes first. Because again, you don't get to pick who supports you and who opposes you. So you're more likely to receive encouragement from strangers than you are your friends and family. There's a post I see on Facebook all the time. They say people will support someone doing the same thing as you, just not you because it's you. Feels that way sometimes. That's real sometimes. Sometimes familiarity is the killjoy. That's the thing that's ruining it. It's that they have a perception of you that you have to escape. You know, I've been in ministry for over a decade now. And people from my hometown are just now starting to take me serious now that I've moved out of the country. Which means they're only just now starting to benefit from stuff that strangers were benefiting from a decade ago. Their lack of perception of me didn't affect my ability to help other people at all. It messed with me emotionally because I'm like, dang, sister so-and-so being mean to me, brother so-and-so mean to me. This person, that person, why they ain't helping me? They helping them. They telling them happy birthday on Facebook. They ain't tell me, you know, all of that happens. And then I realized what it is. They're too close. They know me too well, quote unquote. I am not fitting in the box that they have me in. And it takes for the boxes that they acknowledge to acknowledge me for me to break out of that. Now, I'm saying that, but I'm not commissioning that. Your goal in ministry, your goal in life, your goal in sonship should never be to change people's perception of you. Just be something different. Grow in their face or grow out of their range. Just be something different with or without them. And that's the part that you have to be okay with. The pains of leaving behind loved ones for seasons. The pain of chasing after your goals, regardless of who supports you or who doesn't. That has to be a part of it. Someone says, similar to Jimi Hendrix's story. I should probably study his story. He's one musician I've never studied. So you'll find out, you know, strangers are much more accepting of you because they don't know you. Which means that, and the reason for that is they don't have any preconceived notions about you. Right. That's even something I've seen when I was out doing healing. Now I'll talk about some supernatural stuff. that people that knew me somewhat struggled to get healed, but strangers every day. Because the people that knew me couldn't see past Nelson. It's just the boy. So they couldn't receive anything. They struggled. They made me work hard. Maybe they get healed, maybe they don't. Who knows? However, strangers who don't know me, I offered to heal them. They say, sure, it works. We go on about our day. Didn't have to argue with them. I'll tell you this, atheists were better than Christians in those early days. Christians wanted to tell you how to do the thing they'd never done. Atheists didn't believe it could be done, but were at least open when it worked. You know, when doing healings, a slight tangent, when doing healings, I've never healed an atheist and they asked me to keep their crutches or their canes or whatever. Only Christians did that to me. Okay, tangent over. I want you to know, I'm talking this way because I want you to get that it's uncomfortable, but it's part of the process. And oftentimes you give up because you know what's in the process. You like, but I love my family. I'm like, how much do you love them? You love them enough to let them hate you for a little bit? How much do you really love them? They'll be grateful in 3 years, but they'll hate you for 2. You love them that much? Oh, but these my friends. We've known each other since the 2nd grade, since middle school. Yeah, you okay with them hating you for the rest of their life just so that the rest of the world can benefit? You fine with that? How bad do you really want it? So just to talk about giftings again. So gifts, for the most part, you won't get new gifts and your gifts won't grow if you're not using the ones that you have. And that's part of why you pray and you're asking the royal family, like, Holy Spirit, give me the gift of this and the gift for that. And they say, or they just ignore you. You're like, how come I'm not getting a gift? They're looking at all the other gifts they already gave you that you're not using. So my answer overall for everybody, if you haven't figured it out already, use your gifts. Think about what you already can do. Start doing that. And then now that you're honoring those things, it builds a momentum. It builds up a currency, that honor currency, that gratitude currency. Now, when you ask for these other gifts, they show up and they work because you've already been proven faithful over what you already had. That's really all I wanted to talk to y'all about. I just wanted to hop on and ramble, a little bit of encouragement, because you know, as a seer, I deal with a lot of people on a regular basis, especially in one-on-one sessions. I'm talking to people and I'm subtly picking up on things in their life, and I'm looking and I realize most people are unfulfilled. They're chasing after something, they want more, but life is still unfulfilling. Life is still rough. And I recognize that most of them are chasing things that aren't bad to chase. It's okay to want encounters. It's okay to want gifts. It's okay to want more abilities. It's okay to want more time. It's okay. Don't stop doing that. The problem is when you neglect the things you already have while trying to get new stuff. That's called entitlement. And that doesn't usually yield much. Usually get ignored. So again, it's not your job to make the room. It's the gift's job. You just have to display the gift. I'll ask you a question. There's a lady that I know named Charmaine Stevens. Me and her, I was listening to her talk one day, and she said something. She was giving advice to somebody, and she said, does your audience know what you do? Do your people even know that you can do that? That's where I would start. Do people even know that you're good at that? Some of y'all, look, whatever social media you use, right? This is my challenge to you. I'm gonna give all of y'all some homework. I want you to change your bio on Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you use. I want you to change it to what you're good at so that people know what to ask you for help with. That's your opportunities to use these gifts. That's upgrade opportunities right there. I'm telling you, I run into so many people, musicians trying to be librarians, prophets trying to be musicians, artists working at fast food, all types of stuff on a regular basis. And truthfully, that's a start. Again, I'm gonna leave y'all with this before I ramble just a little bit longer, but I'm gonna leave the important stuff with this. Do people even know what you're good at? Forget what you want to do. Briefly, do people even know what you're good at? You're like, oh yeah, I'm good at this. I trained for this and that and that. Yeah, that ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the other stuff, the mundane stuff, the boring stuff. That's where your money's at. That's where your breakthrough. That's where the family liberation. Everyone wants to break generational curses while trying to gain approval from the generations that cursed you in the first place. Be okay with making people mad while you help them out. It's like babies that cry while you change their diaper. It's like, all right, be mad, but you'll thank me. All right, now I'll read some of these comments. Let's see. I'm doing it now, but didn't for 30 years. Reaccess my gifts in my 40s. I'm proud of you. At least you're back in it. Said, remember what you told me in the hospital when you were praying? Oh, yeah, you scared me. That happens. Is it a good idea to ask the royal family what our gifts are? Yes. Ask them everything. Ask them dumb questions. All right, I'm not teaching y'all how to use gifts right now, so I'm skipping over that. Yeah. Truthfully, a lot of people have main character syndrome. They think that stuff is supposed to just pop up because it's them. And no, you're normal, which means you got to exercise for most things. If you weren't born with it and kept it, then you got to work for it and get it, cultivate it. It's okay. You're not broken, just normal. Let's see. When you tell people, your kids, that's funny, what they're good at and they want to go in the opposite direction. That's a reminder. See that? I like that, right? That reminds me of something. Okay, Christian audience, I'll give y'all the second Bible verse for today. So, the second Bible verse for today is train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. Y'all use that verse to make y'all kids go to church, and when they grow up, they don't come back. That's because you're trying to force something onto them. However, if you start to pay attention when they're kids to what they're good at, and you remind them, you reinforce it, even if it looks like they're going somewhere else, they'll have the skill set in that area and can bounce back at any time. What happens is we don't invest in our youth. We'll counsel our youth. We'll blanket statement encourage our youth. We'll go fuss at our youth. Hey, listen to your mama. That ain't helping. We actually have to start investing in our youth by paying attention to what they're already capable of. And then as adults, changing the way the world works so that when they grow up, they can actually do it. There's a horrible thing that we have all accepted as normal, which is what we called the real world. You tell kids from the time they can hear you, you can do anything. You can accomplish all your dreams. And then the moment they turn 18, you kick them out the house and say, welcome to the new world. Life sucks now. That is a flaw. That should not be happening generation after generation. Setting kids up for failure. You are crushing the future every time. life only sucks because we've agreed that it's supposed to. Instead of making things better, we decide to suffer together. We decide to suffer together. We see it as a hazing ritual. I went through this, so y'all got to go through that. Instead of I went through this, so I'll make it easier so other people don't have to, their journey doesn't have to be as hard. Free will is still a thing. They don't choose it, but the option exists. And that's actually what it looks like to invest in the youth, making adult life easier, creating systems that make it easier for them to stay in what their calling is and then grow into it. All right, y'all. So that's about it. I love y'all. Again, I got a bunch of books. Fullness, Guide to Sonship and Mysticism. You can find this on Amazon. Kemetic Prayers, the Super Bible. Again, my Bible has a lot more books in it. And if you want physical copies, depending on your eyesight, you might want to get the split volume Old and New Testament version of it. I have over 180 books in my Bible collection, taken from the Ethiopian canon, the Protestant canon, the Catholic canon, and a bunch of other texts that were never in a Bible, just to make those texts available. So you learn how to steward your ideas. Hold on to it, honor it, start writing stuff down. Start agreeing to stuff as this is a simple key. I keep saying I'm gonna leave y'all. That's the residual Baptist in me that keeps saying, all right, I'm closing, and then keep talking, right? So I found out that if you just agree when an inspiration drops in, an idea comes, you say, yeah, I'll do that. Somehow it happens. Most of you psych yourself out energetically by going, that'll never happen. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. You're taking too much responsibility for it. Just agree to it. All right, y'all. That's it. I will see y'all. I will see y'all whenever I go live again. Missed this live? Yeah, but it's recorded. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Y'all be blessed. And that's it. Everything's on my website, caveofmystery.org.